I would now like to talk to you about completing your field experience forms. You will need to print numerous copies, front and back, of this 2-page document. You will always take a supply of these with you to every observation that you complete. You will also take these forms with you when you go to do your school board meetings and your site-based council meetings. These are the required forms that must be completed and signed to document that you have completed the required 16 field hours for this course. It is through this documentation that you will receive credit for the course. It does not matter what your grade is on the written work. If you do not have the 16 hours outlined in this course in the correct grade ranges and the site-based meetings and school board meetings, you will not receive credit for this course. Now let's talk about filling in the form. You've scheduled your observations. You've gone into a classroom observation. What happens? At the end of that observation, you will need to get this document signed and some additional information from the teacher. So let's talk about how that would transpire. When you get to your observation as you're finishing up, I would go ahead, enter my name, which would be your name, the student name. I'm acting like as if I'm the student. I would enter the teacher's name that you have observed or are observing, the school name and school district. That means like Hopkins County, Muhlenberg County, Fayette County, Crittenden, Caldwell. Very important, get your dates right. What date are you there observing? What time did you start observing? What time did you end the observation? Now let me talk about this start and end time. The start time and the end time is for every class that you observe. So if you're with Miss Brown from 9 to 10, the students leave and a new group comes in, you're still with Miss Brown, and this group is from 10 to 11, you must fill out a new form for that second class that came in. So one field experience form for every teacher you observe and or class that you observe. When the class changes, that's automatically time to fill out another form. So you may have a teacher who signs 2 or more forms simply because the classes changed numerous times while you were observing them. If you changed from Miss Brown to Mr. Smith, automatically you understand that means a new field experience form has to be filled out, and then it would have Mr. Smith's information. Notice I have already entered the course name in this section. You will need to make special note that this course requires 16 field hours, not 15. 15 is the minimum. This course requires 16. 4 in each of the grade ranges outlined on the scoring guide page of your syllabus, plus 2 hours in a school board meeting, plus 2 hours in site-based council meetings. Enter the name of the college through which you are taking this course. So in your case, it will be MCC, Madisonville Community College. That's the college through which you are completing this course. Then you will simply, common sense, you will circle whichever of these grades you happen to be observing under this teacher. So if you're observing 5th grade, you circle 5. Then, at the end of the observation, you have all this information filled out. You ask the teacher for the Infinite Campus number. And you will notice in this section that I provided you a screenshot of the Infinite Campus screen. You need to print that out and take it with you because, believe it or not, there are some teachers who do not know how to find that number. It's automatically in the state database, and many of them never have to access it, so they will appreciate you having that screenshot. It will give you the course number, section, and official course name once they access that section in Infinite Campus. Obviously, your start and end time translates over into this total hours. So start time, end time, how much time is that? Put that in the total hours. I will give you a little tip. I would never go anything less than the quarter hour. So for example, don't go an hour and 6 minutes to an observation. Stay at least an hour and 15. Don't do an hour and 48 minutes. Do an hour and 45 or go ahead and stay to the next, because KFETS, the database, is only set up to take quarter hour increments of time. So remember that. Once you get your total hours, you then transfer that information down to this section. This semester, for this course, you will only be dealing with Section B or Section E. Anytime you observe in a classroom, these total hours end up in this section. Anytime you do a school board meeting or school-based meeting, site-based council, the total hours would end up in this section. Now, let me say before I change screens, obviously, if you're doing a school board meeting or a site-based council meeting, you would only fill out your name and the school district, the date, start and end time, total time, and then bring those total hours down to this section. None of this other would be filled in. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Only for actual classroom observations do you have this type of information, teacher, grade level, Infinite Campus, filled in. Site-based meetings and school board meetings is simply your name, what school district. Site-based, let me back that up. Site-based, you would actually put the school name because you would do a site-based meeting in the school, so I don't want to confuse you on that. You would have the date, start and end time of the meetings, the total time, and then you would bring that total down to Section E. All of the rest of your hours, which would be 12 or more, some of you may end up doing a little more. All the other 12 hours would be all of this information, because you're in the classroom, total hours brought down to Section B. That's the first page of the field log that has to be completed for every teacher, school board meeting, site-based meeting, and or every time a class changes while you're observing a teacher. Let's finish out this document. Second page. Notice it tells you if you could not get the Infinite Campus number, and sometimes you can't, the teacher will say, I just don't know, I can't find it. All right, don't stand there and waste your time. Say, that's fine. Can you help me fill out this section then? Because that's what the Infinite Campus number is really encoded with, the demographics of the class. Also, if you choose to attend a private school or observe in a private school, or you observe out of the state of Kentucky, and I have had students do that sometimes. They've gone on like a spring break or a fall break, and they've ended up being in another state. They had friends or relatives there that taught in the school system, and they wanted to observe. That they were welcome to do that. But obviously, Infinite Campus is within the state of Kentucky. So again, you wouldn't have an infinite campus number to get from a teacher in a private school and or an out-of-state school. So you would have to ask them, which of these categories is applicable? They're not giving you students' names. They're not giving away any confidential information. You're just asking them to check which of the categories are applicable to this class. The teacher you observed must have signed. Now, if this were a site-based meeting or a school board meeting, forget the word teacher. Get the school board and or site-based council member, it doesn't matter which one, get a school board member or a site-based council member to sign where it says teacher observed. You must also sign every one of these forms before you submit them to me. That's your word saying that you certify that everything on here is correct, because you will be held accountable for it. So let me summarize briefly. You must print out multiple copies of this form. You must take these forms with you to all of your classroom observations, school board meetings, and site-based meetings. You will complete the front and back of this form for every observation that you do, every meeting that you attend, and you will get it signed by the appropriate individual in addition to your signature. You will take this form, keep it in a secure location from now until you complete the College of Ed, because at any given time you could be asked to show this as proof of your required hours to student teach your senior year. So do not let these get out of your sight. You will submit a copy of these signed reports with every observation report that I require you to submit this semester. If it's school board or site-based meetings, you will submit a copy of the meeting's agenda along with this signed form. You will use this form when you enter your hours into the state database once you've set up your account. So again, in this section, you will see that I have provided a KFETS PowerPoint that you need to watch. It explains the KFETS system, how you log in, how you set up your account, and it is that account into which you will log all of your hours from now until the day you graduate the College of Ed. So it's imperative that you pay close attention to the PowerPoint. You ask questions when you need to ask questions, and I will give further instruction as needed as we go throughout the semester. At this time, I'm going to sign off on this recording. There will be an additional recording that will explain your field hours and how you go about setting those up and the expectations that we have of you as you complete those field hours. As always, throughout this course, if there is anything that you ever have questions on or need further clarification, you call or email me. That is what I am here for.